The Black Power Revolution, known by various names such as the Black Power Movement, the 1970 Revolution, the Black Power Uprising, and the February Revolution, marked a significant chapter in Trinidad and Tobago's history. This movement aimed to challenge the neo-colonial order established during the era of British slavery and imperialism. With support from diverse social elements, individuals, and even interest groups, the Black Power Revolution sought to dismantle the prevailing power structures and also assert the rights and the aspirations of Afro-Trinidadian population. Between 1968 and 1970, the Black Power Revolution gained momentum in Trinidad and Tobago, coinciding with the civil rights movement in the United States of America. The National Joint Action Committee, which is abbreviated as the NJAC, emerged from the Guild of Undergraduates at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus, which was led by Geddes Granger, who was later known as Macandal Daga. NJAC and the Black Power movement posed a formidable challenge to the authority of Prime Minister Eric Williams, and alternatively, the trade union movement, guided by figures like George Weeks, Clive Nunes, and Basio Pandey, organized strikes and advocated for the workers' rights. The 1970 carnival band, named the Pine Toppers, became the initial expression of the Black Power Revolution, presenting the truth about Africa, which depicted revolutionary heroes like Fidel Castro, Kwame Ture, and Tubal Uriah Butler. This symbolic act set the stage for a series of marches and protests demanding change and equality for all the Afro-Trinidadians. Led primarily by Macandal Daga and Kafra Kambon of NJAC, the Black Power movement in Trinidad and Tobago also garnered support from disaffected members of the ruling People's National Movement, which was under Eric Williams at the time, as well as the disadvantaged urban poor, black youth from marginalized communities, and even students from the St. Augustine campus of UWI. The tragic turn of the Black Power uprising occurred on April 6, 1970, when a protester named Basil Davis was killed by the police. This intensified the movement's momentum. A.N.R. Robinson's resignation on April 13th also added to the political unrest, followed by the sugar workers' strike on April 18th, and even talks of a general strike. In response, Prime Minister Eric Williams declared a state of emergency on April 21st, which led to the arrest of 15 Black Power leaders. The situation escalated with a mutiny by a faction of the Trinidad Defense Force, which was led by Rafiq Shah and Rex LaSalle, who took hostages at the Tetran Army barracks. Through the intervention of the Coast Guard, led by Commander David Bloom, and negotiations between the government and the rebels, the mutiny was contained and the mutineers surrendered on April 25th. In an effort to regain control, Prime Minister Eric Williams released several statements aligning himself with the goals of the Black Power movement, and the following is a clip of a speech made by Dr. Eric Williams on Independence Day.
The first responsibility that devolves upon you is the protection and promotion of your democracy. Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all in the eyes of the law. Democracy means equality of opportunity for all in education, in the public service, and in private employment. I repeat, and in private employment. Democracy means responsibility of the government to its citizens, the protection of the citizens from the exercise of arbitrary power and the violation of human freedom and individual rights. Democracy means freedom of worship for all and the subordination of the rights of any one race to the overriding right of the human race. Democracy means freedom of expression and assembly and organization. All that is democracy. All that is our democracy, to which I call upon all citizens to dedicate themselves on this our Independence Day. This is what I meant when I gave the nation as its slogan for all time: discipline, production, tolerance. Our national flag belongs to all of us. Our national coat of arms with our national birds inscribed therein is the sacred trust of all our citizens. So it is today. Please, I urge you, let it always be so.
And the following is another clip of NJAC member Kafra Kambon reminiscing on the Black Power Revolution.
There were also threats of a nationwide strike fueled by a sugar workers' strike on April 18th that year. Shortly after, warrants were issued for the arrests of those instrumental in leading the Black Power movement.
Since everybody say, we're fighting this, we ain't taking this, so we ain't taking this line down, we're not dependent on the courts. So by the time the next time we went to court, and the police acted against people, people spontaneously went and started to break up show windows in Port of Spain. That was the beginning of breaking up of show windows.
There were 56 days of marches and protests throughout the country. Mr. Kambon and others were arrested yet again and taken to the Coast Guard headquarters in Chaguaramas.
The 1970s marked a period of extensive cultural transformation across many industrialized nations. In Trinidad, for example, the prevailing conditions mirrored those of other post-independent states linked to the same capitalist system, which prompted changes that were influenced by not only internal but also external factors. Notably, the Black Power movement played a crucial role in inspiring substantial cultural shifts, some of which had notable effects on gender roles. According to articles in the Express in February and March of 1970, there were indications of some of the changes that were taking place. Express writer Rosemary Stone noted that boys and girls were wearing tiny little vests with flared pants. They were also wearing afros or they had long hair. They were sporting things like homemade jewelry, beaded fringes on their skirts and trousers, chunky shoes, and heavy thong sandals and gold peeper glasses. In March, another article shed light on the evolving fashion scene and the corresponding cultural shift. The writer observed a fresh fashion vibe characterized by increased utility and comfort in clothing. The mood is new, the writer commented, where their articles of clothing featured practical and comfortable elements such as sandals suitable for marching, solid colors, military bush jackets paired with modest jerseys, and a shift from sheer clothing to denim trousers or even miniskirts. Additionally, girls were seen sporting trouser suits with stylish bags gathered at the top in fabric leather. Boys, on the other hand, embrace a variety of styles including ponchos, Cuban shirts, Mao jackets, Afro jacks, tank tops, and even tie-dye jerseys. Even though the attire described by writers reflected a general global trend in fashion, the Black Power movement entrenched this style of dress in Trinidad. The commercialization of revolutionary fashion, known as revolutionary chic, somewhat diluted the clothing's revolutionary symbolism. Nevertheless, the clothing choices of young individuals still demonstrated an alignment with the movement. The preference for African and Indian garments signaled an identification with these cultures rather than that of the Europeans, which thus challenged Western standards of appropriate attire. Additionally, the embrace of natural Afro hairstyles served as a celebration of African beauty, once again challenging Western beauty ideals. As young people engage in activities that contested traditional authority, their clothing, including jeans, sandals, beads, and hairstyles, also challenged conventional dress norms. This shift in clothing also had implications for gender relations and construction. Flat sandals, for instance, offered an alternative to uncomfortable high heels, granting women the freedom to move around, run, and generally just be more mobile. Simultaneously, as many young women and men participated in mass demonstrations, clothing in general became more comfortable and less restrictive. Another significant indication of cultural shift was observed in the way young individuals participated in funerals. This phenomenon appears to have originated during the funeral of Basil Davis, who was previously mentioned, who was fatally shot by a policeman on April 6 of 1970. His funeral garnered a substantial following, with estimates ranging from 20,000 to 30,000 attendees by one reporter. Subsequent funerals also witnessed attendees donning red and black attire, adorning the coffin with red and black flags, or later incorporating red, black, and green. African drumming and chanting became prominent during these events, and both young men and women chose to defy the established power structure of their country by wearing casual attire such as jeans and red t-shirts, symbolizing a departure from conventional norms. In conclusion, the 1970 Black Power uprising had a profound impact on Trinidad and Tobago, triggering political and also social reforms. It challenged existing power structures, compelling the government to address the grievances of the Afro-Trinidadian population. This uprising also led to significant changes, including the establishment of the first locally owned commercial bank and the introduction of a levy to fund unemployment reduction. And that will conclude my presentation. Thank you all for your undivided attention.